Okay, we're live. Welcome in to the Off-Brand Sports Podcast. There's a lot to talk about today. I was gonna save hockey to the end, but I mean, how can we not talk about what's happening right now? We'll keep you posted if you're watching this one live. Fifth overtime right now, 18 minutes to go, 2-2 between Columbus and Tampa Bay. We've got a real nail biter. They have just announced that they had to postpone the next game until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. because they can't have the rink ready in time for Carolina and Boston. So this is something right now. Have you guys got? I know Marshall, you slept
Yeah.
through a lot of it, getting right off work. But have you guys gotten to see much at all of this game?
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the third overtime actually on a live stream at work, and these boys absolutely look gassed. They're giving it their
Yeah.
all, that's for sure. And I guess I'm surprised. I thought if this was going to be so long, this game, it was going to have to be a high scoring game because Tampa's offense is so outrageously good. But once again, we've seen the defense of Columbus just come through. We saw it all that Toronto series, how good they were at locking down the big line, and maybe Tampa's in for some rough luck here
Oh,
again.
yeah, they're getting a shot on that right there.
Yeah, I was just texting Billy earlier. It's like if Tampa ends up losing this game, you already know there's going to be a pretty stressful city. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they definitely are going to have a little bit of a reminder from last year's playoff. That'll be 5 straight games if Columbus ends up winning this game that they beat
Yeah,
them in the playoffs. So Jonas Corposalo already
the
set
NHL record.
an NHL playoff save record. And it looks like Vasilevsky could end up getting there, possibly
Yeah, Columbus needs to shoot a little more, but
beating that initial
yeah,
record. Yeah,
Vasilevsky might have too.
but that would be crazy.
Yeah, I said it
That
on
would be
Twitter, and
crazy.
I'll say it here.
Do you guys
Someone forgot to tell these two teams that they don't have to play
do you
all
guys know
seven
what the
today.
record was? Is it
It's 80. It was 78 shots, and now Corpusalo has 85 saves,
78?
something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit nuts. Yeah, someone did forget to tell someone that this whole series did not have to be played in one
They're
night.
getting there. They've played 2 games, 2.5. They're almost to 3.
Yeah.
This is insane.
I want to see this. Like, what is the record, Billy?
Fifth
Like, I know
overtime.
I
Nothing's
have
ever gone
asked
into
you, but
6. I don't know the exact minutes.
yeah, let's.
Yeah, we're
I
getting
want
there.
to. Yeah, we are getting there. That is crazy.
It is.
These are two just hungry teams. Columbus wants to prove that last season was not a fluke, and their entire season this year wasn't a fluke, and even beating like Toronto and all that. And then Tampa, like you can see that they have the desperation that they did not want to be down 1-0 again to Columbus.
And Columbus really wants to win as well. It looks like. I mean, Corpusalo in particular
Yeah,
is just giving them nothing. There haven't been a ton of shots because like at this point when you're that tired, how many shots can you really take and how many good opportunities? So I mean, I guess there's been a lot of shots, just not real scoring chances. But when they've had them, the
yeah,
goalies have stood up and gotten it done. So
yeah. The goalies have got to be gassed too. Corpusalo making
I
85
don't know how
saves. It's
he
like,
hasn't
good God.
gassed out yet.
Yeah.
No
I
kidding.
luckily this was not a game in which they had to play a back to
I mean,
back the
even
next
without
day.
it, you have to think Columbus has to be thinking about putting Merzlikins in for game 2. I mean,
Yeah,
what more are you going to
probably.
ask of Corpusalo? I feel like that's
Yeah.
definitely a consideration. But we'll keep the viewers posted on this one. Our main kind of thing we're doing today, we'll predict each NHL series, including this one when we get there. But before that, let's talk some other sports. What around the world of sports have you guys seen this week that you want to talk about?
Well, specifically with the Rockies, they came out super, super hot and dropped 2 in a row. So I'm hoping that that's not a sign of a longer losing streak to come.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
But, um, but yeah, like there's just so much going on. NBA playoff bubble. Portland's looking like a real threat. Like I think they're going to end up being one of the better 8 seeds
Yeah,
that
they
we've
look
ever seen,
scary.
and there's a realistic shot that they can knock off the
Another
Lakers.
team vying for the
Mhm.
8 seed. So Marshall, in our betting segment, you bet on a team to go 8-0. When you did that, were you banking on
Yep,
it being the Phoenix Suns, who are now 7-0 with one game to play,
absolutely,
the last one standing?
absolutely not. Nope, nope. And I don't even know. Do the Suns sit in that
I
ninth
don't think
position
they. I
now?
think
I
they're
don't think
still
so.
a
Do
game
they?
back. So even they could
But
legitimately go
wow,
eight and
what
zero and
a
still miss the
emergence!
playoffs. But wow.
Yeah, they are sitting tied for. They're actually tied for eighth right now. There's
Oh
4
wow.
teams
So
tied for
they'll be in
eighth.
that group as long as they can finish it out.
Uh I don't think so. I think it's going to be an 8 and 9 matchup, and like with
Are they last
tiebreakers.
with tie? Are they
I don't
the
think
tenth
it's.
with tiebreakers? Ooh.
Yeah, they're
And they
10th
do
with
have that. If they
tiebreakers right
win
now.
that one more
So
game, that'll give them an edge. If who, what is it? Portland and Memphis are the other two. So if one of them would have to lose.
Mhm.
yeah, Portland and Memphis are the other two. So I mean, the Trailblazers are playing right now at the very tail end of the game. Not too sure what the score is, but yeah, what an emergence though. Devin Booker has finally, like, he's always kind of flown under the radar. He's always been kind of an elite scorer ever since he stepped into the NBA. But now people are kind of like taking notice, especially that they're freaking
Yeah.
winning. Draymond Green came out and said, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he got fined $50,000 for saying that Devin Booker should get out of Phoenix right away. So that was a little bit of an interesting move by Draymond, but in the end, $50,000 for him is probably chump change. And
Oh
if
yeah.
that means Devin Booker's gonna like reconsider and move to even like Golden State, then it could end up benefiting them. So, yeah, interesting. Really nice to see one of the last teams like that actually made the playoffs, like little bubble, make a
Yeah,
little
I
nice
mean,
run here.
yeah, it's similar to the NHL. They were the last team in, and everyone's like, okay, do they really need to be there? Both the last two in the NHL made the playoffs, and Phoenix looking to pull something similar, but they've looked like one of the best teams in the bubble.
Yeah, yeah. And the team that was pretty comfortably in that 8 spot, Memphis, has not looked
Yeah,
very good.
which could be
Mhm.
the reason Phoenix does
So
get in. All right,
yeah,
so do you boys want to go ahead and move into our bet segment here? I'll have
yep.
I'll get the stats up a little bit. So I'm currently at 10-4. $89.84. I did drop $5, and my streak went from a 6-week win streak to a 5 because one of my pending bets lost. I had Montreal to win the draft lottery. I did not think this is how I would lose it. I thought I'd lose it when someone else got drawn, not because they actually made the playoffs. So I lost that one.
Yeah.
Marshall sitting at 4-7, minus $1.90. So he's working his way back up slowly. Hopefully, that Phoenix Suns bet is one thing that can get him
Well,
up.
yeah.
Mhm.
If the Suns end up pulling it off,
Yeah,
that'd be
two
really nice
episode
for
cold
me.
streak.
That was. I mean, I remember when I was talking about that. It's like, yeah, I could see like the Lakers or the Clippers or the Bucks going 8-0. Maybe like a Toronto could surprise someone, but yeah, Phoenix coming out here and just shocking the
Yeah, at this
world.
point, one game away. I believe I was looking at the odds earlier, and they are favored to win over Dallas in that game. So we'll have to see. Zach is at 6-8, $47.60. Did drop his last bet, but we're looking good otherwise. One pending bet, Marshall with 4 pending, and I also have 1 pending. Zach, kick us off for this week. What are you betting on?
All right, so this seems like an absolute lock to me. And when we were taking these bets, not a lot of odds were out at the time. So I had to go for series winners. So I just chose the Avs and the Golden Knights. Those are two championship teams, in my opinion. They're going to be seeing each other in the conference
Yeah,
finals.
I love that bet. So much so that I actually have a very similar bet. I also took the Avs and the Golden Knights to win their series. I just went one step further, and I added Philly into my parlay, which boosted the odds from minus 101 is where you're at to I have plus 158.
Mm-hmm.
So I like your bet a lot. I even incorporated it in mine. I think, to me, there are 3 locks, and those are the 3. I think I was very close on Tampa, but I actually picked Columbus to win this game because I think they start cold and then Tampa will win the next 4 of the next 6. But those were the only 3 that I was like, I feel very, very comfortable betting on, so I'm taking them. Marshall, what are you betting on?
So I actually have the Avs to win tomorrow. I just like their matchup with Phoenix, and I think they're going to be coming out flying tomorrow. This is also something that I'm trying to get like a little bit of a gimme bet, even though it's probably not just a gimme. Very realistic that Phoenix or Arizona can come out and win. But I'm just looking for something to get me out of the negative right now, so I'm taking the Avs tomorrow.
That would take care of it. It's a minus 180 or those odds, so.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say the odds. But, yeah, minus 180 would just barely get me out of the negative, but let's hope it does.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good feeling about that one. It looks like all 3 of us incorporated the Avs in some way into our bets. But we did a full episode on the Avalanche podcast of our predictions for that series. So as we move into our series predictions here, we're not going to go over that one in depth. I'll tell you right now, all of us took the Avs in 6. If you'd like a more detailed explanation, go ahead and check out the Avs podcast. It's the channel is linked in the description as well as all over our channel, so not too hard to find. That's where you'll see our detailed predictions on that one. We all took them in 6, the Avs in 6. But let's go ahead and start with the game that will never end. Oh, actually, Columbus on a breakaway, so let's see if it does end. And it does not. No shot. But, let's start by predicting this series. That was a shorthanded breakaway. Like I said in the bet segment, I do believe Tampa wins this one. I believe they win it in 7. But I did bet on Columbus to win Game 1. I think that's a theme for me. I think that teams coming out of the play-in are going to be flying a little bit more because they've been playing playoff hockey, whereas the round-robin teams have kind of been playing playoff hockey, but not quite. So I think we might see a couple Game 1 upsets that you wouldn't necessarily expect, but I think we'll see some teams bounce back from those.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm taking Tampa in 6 here. I do think it's going to be a hard-fought series, but I think just with Tampa's disappointing little showing last season, I think they're kind of on a revenge tour, and I think they're just going to like come out and prove why they should have been. Like, they were the President's Trophy winners last year and are considered to be one of the top favorites to win the Stanley Cup this season. So I think they're going to win a 6. I do like Columbus. Their goaltending and Tortorella is obviously a huge difference maker, but I think Tampa ends up taking the series.
Fair enough. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, this is pretty easy for me. Tampa ends up winning the series. They're just clearly a way better team all around. Torts has coached Columbus outstandingly this whole entire NHL restart. And for that reason, they could be an upset, but I just don't see it happening. I'm taking the Bolts in 6.
All right, yeah, we're all on the same page here. The one X factor, I was very close to leaning Columbus yesterday when it looked like Victor Hedman might be out long term, but it looks like he's played a little over an hour in today's game, so I think he's all right. And if he's all right, I don't see
doing just fine.
I don't see them dropping this one. I think there's a shot at it. I'll say that. I think that Columbus absolutely has a chance to win this series, but I'm here to pick a winner, and I'm picking Tampa. X factors for this series, other than Hedman I just mentioned, who would be your biggest X factor? Marshall, start.
I'll give a couple really quick. Well, first of all, if Stamkos can get back here soon, then that's a huge piece. But my biggest X factor out of all the players that are playing currently is Braden Point. I mean, this kid is absolutely dynamic. Probably my pick for the second best center in the league right now. Wow. I know there's probably other.
You mean like in the bubble or like all around?
Okay, yeah, currently in the bubble.
Like, McDavid and McKinnon. Which one did you put Point over? But I got you.
Wait, the second center.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like in terms of second, like 2C.
That makes a lot more sense.
2Cs.
I like Point a lot, but that's okay. Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, I don't like him that much, but yeah. In terms of 2Cs go, You can't really get much better than Braden Point. He plays just an all-around, just fantastic game in his own zone, and you already know he has some very high-end skill and finishing ability as well. So if he can get it going, that's a dangerous player for them.
Absolutely. Who's your X factor, Zach?
It's hard not to say Stamkos when he's been so quiet for most of these.
He's been playing. We need
the
him
play in.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, I kind of like the X factors on Columbus's side better, even though I don't think they're going to win. Probably like Luc Dubois. He's been really good in the playoffs since Torts got in his face. Players like Cam Atkinson probably need to pick it up, but the Bolts are just so heavy. I don't think there's really one particular player that needs to play well for them to win.
Yeah.
For me, it's the
How about you, Billy?
in Columbus. Marshall, I know you mentioned Korpisalo. I talked a little bit about Merzlikins. This is a team. Oh, Tampa just won it. Tampa won it. Braden Point. Talked about him a little bit. Wow. Okay. Bar down shot right there. Yeah. So that's where we are.
Goodness.
Our Tampa pick is looking better now. So there we go. Like I was saying, goaltending, Korpisalo has been very good. Merzlikins, when he's been in at times, has also been very good. And I think there's a team not afraid to switch back and forth a little bit. So I think we'll see both of them in this series, especially now that Korpisalo just took 88 shots on goal. So goaltending in Columbus is my biggest X factor in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point, Billy. I forgot what I was just going to say. I was kind of watching the celebrations. It looked like Tampa just won the freaking Stanley Cup. It probably feels like it. For a couple of reasons, really. This was like 2.5 games that they just played. And then another reason. Yeah, and this is a big weight that's lifted off their shoulder, actually, like getting a win against the team that swept them last season. So,
wow, that was
good for Tampa.
That was an insane game.
I can't believe it's Braden Point.
Let's see. Does it get touched? It was just a wobbler, and it went.
Yeah. Looks like he could have saved that, but I'm sure
he's got to be dead.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely kind of
so dead.
It was a bit of a change up, but definitely a really nice place shot.
Up top,
so.
right under the crossbar, skimmed the crossbar. So.
Wow. It hurts.
Oh, it hurts for sure.
Man, that's rough. But. All right, so we know now Game 1, and our viewers know that we picked Tampa before they won Game 1, so it looks a little bit better. Let's move into the other series that has had a game played. It actually started after this one, but finished earlier because that's how long this has been. So let's talk about Dallas and Calgary. Calgary took Game 1. I was going back and forth on this series after that. At first, I was leaning Dallas, but unsure. After Calgary took Game 1, I'm unsure where to go, but I'm going to go ahead and say, like I said earlier, I think Calgary had the edge in Game 1. I think Dallas will be able to bounce back. Let me be clear. I don't think either team is good, and I think whoever wins this one is just playing to lose the next round. But I think Dallas is better than Calgary. So I'm taking them to win it in 7. Now that they're down a game, I'm not going to say anything less than that. But I do think Dallas is able to bounce back. What do you two think? Let's start with you, Zach.
This is one of the only, I guess you could say, upsets that I see in the West. I think Calgary is better than Dallas. There's maybe not goaltending-wise, but scoring depth-wise, Calgary is way better. Dallas just, Sagan needs to get it going. Ben needs to get it going, and they just haven't shown that they can do that. At least in the round robin, they looked really, really bad. Radulov's another guy that is not looking good in the first 4 games of the play-in. And Calgary is just that really grindy team that I personally really like a lot. I think they're fun to watch, and they also got some players that can put the puck in the net, and Goudreau and Monahan, and even Tkachuk in some cases.
All right.
You've seen what he does.
Chuck's a good guy to have on your team in a playoff game. Marshall, what do you think?
So I'm kind of basing this off of my playoff bracket that I made for myself last night and in our playoff bracket pool. And I took Calgary in 7 here. I think this is going to be another really hard-fought series, and I think Calgary is a little bit on a revenge tour of their own, but kind of an underrated revenge tour because it didn't necessarily play very good all season. But after getting knocked out by the Avs, another first 8 seed upset, I think they're going to try to pull the upset card themselves. Their grinders are kind of getting it done right now. Lucic is actually looking really, really solid, and Kachuk, he's dropping the mitts with anyone right now. He dropped the mitts with Corey Perry this game today,
Definitely.
So
that was so fun to watch.
kind of something that you need. Yeah, it was two guys that not a lot of people like around the league, just kind of going after it. So
all right, and since Marshall just mentioned it, I'm going to go ahead and let our viewers know as well. We do have an off-brand sports bracket pool that you can join. Just create your bracket on NHL.com, and when you want to join a league, search up off-brand sports. Join our bracket pool. We don't have any prizes going right now, but just see how you do against us. We've all 3 got brackets in there, and we'll see who wins that one. All right, so X Factors for this series, and for the last series I went with X Factors, who I think will be difference makers because they're going to be very good. For me, I'm going with the X Factor of Cam Talbot because he did not look good. Jamie Benn's goal today was a little bit pathetic. It should have been stopped, trickled through the 5-hole. And Cam Talbot might, in my opinion, be the worst goalie standing in the NHL left in the bubble right now. So he needs to step it up, and he needs to really be a game changer if Calgary is going to have a shot in this series. Dallas can't score, so that is very much in their favor.
Yeah.
But they're going to need a little bit more out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. My X Factor is Johnny Gaudreau. He's looked pretty solid in their play-in series, but he's not. Ever since they got knocked out last season, he hasn't looked like the old Johnny Gaudreau. He's kind of just like looked stale, not necessarily the dynamic player that he always has been. To me, if Calgary is going to continue to score like they have been, it's going to need to be on the back of Johnny Gaudreau.
The guy that was missing in the Avalanche series last year. He kind of ghosted everyone, and this year, luckily, it has looked like that has not happened. So we'll have to wait and see if that lasts, and if Johnny Gaudreau can play well, that is big for the Flames. Who's your X Factor, Zach?
Yeah.
I was actually going to pick Johnny Gaudreau as well, but since Marshall did, I'll go ahead and go Sean Monahan, another guy that needs to put the puck in the net if the boys are trying to win this series.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I do like a little bit of what the Flames can do up front. Not so much on the back end, and I think that's why I think Dallas comes back. But hey, this is one of the series that I'm not all that confident in my pick, so we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to the game that is now postponed because of that last one. Carolina and Boston, and this is an interesting series to me. Boston did not take the round robin seriously. Either that or they just couldn't get it together. But have not looked very good. They got the 4 seed in the East after winning the President's Trophy. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a bold prediction here. So not only do I think this is the second year that the President's Trophy winner loses in round 1, I think that they do not make it out of Game 5. I think Calgary takes this in 5. I don't think the series is close. I've been pounding the table sorry, I think I said Calgary, but I meant Carolina. I've been pounding the table for Carolina for a month now. I think they're one of the best teams in the East. I think that they're coming in hot. Boston's coming in cold. So I'm taking them to win this series in 5 games, and I think it realistically might happen. Marshall, what are your predictions on this one?
I am high on Carolina too, but I don't see them winning in 4 or 5. If they're going to win this series, it's going to go 7. I think this series goes 7 regardless, and that 7th game, as we all know, is kind of just a pick and choose type of situation. I do think Carolina ends up winning in 7 here. Another really big piece of news that we got today is Dougie Hamilton's going to be playing tomorrow.
That's huge.
So that is a humongous pickup for them.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, well, the 5 games that you chose is a little bit, too short of a series for my liking. Uh, Marshall said it. This is kind of a toss-up if it gets to game 6 or 7. You, the three-headed monster in Boston. I kind of got to take them with their experience over Carolina in this one. So I'm going to go Boston in
All right,
7.
fair enough. Let's go with some X factors here, and I'm gonna start with Svech. Andrei Svechnikov has kind of broken out in the bubble. The hat trick game was massive, and he's been good
Mm-hmm.
in both the other games, I guess, as well. And if you're taking a team that was already very good and you're taking one of those good players and turning him into a legitimate superstar, which I think Svechnikov has become, then I mean that's massive, and I think that that elevates them to the next step. Marshall, who is your X factor?
I'm going to go Peter Mrazek here. I think there's definitely one piece that's kind of still lacking on Carolina, and that's goaltending. But it's not like Peter Mrazek hasn't shown that he could be like a playoff goaltender. It's just he's not at the same level as Tuukka Rask right now. So I think if Carolina is going to win this series, Peter Mrazek has to at least stand toe to toe with Rask.
Fair enough, and he looked good in the play-in, as did James Reimer. They both played fairly well, but like you said, not on Rask's level. So they'll need to step it up in this series. Zach, who is your X factor?
So I got a couple. I'm going to go with David Pastrnak, and I'm going to go with Patrice Bergeron.
Okay.
They go by Bergeron's kind of wind. If Bergeron's playing his lockdown game, which he's going to need to play against players like Smeshnikov and Aho, there's not much of a there's less of a chance that Carolina comes out on top on this one.
Fair enough. Definitely some star players on Boston that would help a lot. If they're rolling, it's hard to stop them. So we'll have to wait and see this series. Like I said, it was supposed to be on tonight, and now it will not be. So we'll have to wait till I believe it's 9 a.m. tomorrow morning now. So I'm excited for that. That's like the series that I'm most looking forward to. But we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. So final series in the East, Philadelphia and hold on. I lost it for a second. Montreal.
Montreal.
I had it and then I forgot. But this is an easy one to me. I think that Philly is really hot right now. Montreal has a hot Carey Price, but I just don't think they're in the same league. Any of the three series between Montreal, Montreal, Chicago, and Phoenix, because they're technically such low seeds, any of them would be the biggest upset in NHL history because you're talking about a 12 seed knocking out a 1 seed. So that's something there, and I just don't see it happening. I think just the level of talent difference there is so massive that I'm taking Philly and I'm taking them in 5.
Yeah, I'd take Philly in this one too. Like you said, Billy, Carey Price is super hot. This is a series where he could potentially steal you a game or two. So I'm going to take Philly in 6.
I'm going off of a limb here and taking Philly in 4.
Right.
I think this is going to. I mean, I think Carter Hart, with his potential right now and the way he's playing, could definitely stand toe to toe with Carey Price right now. He's a bit of a, we've said it previously, he's a bit of a young Carey Price in my opinion. So looking down at his idol and getting to prove that he is next in reign for the Vezina candidate, like front runner for the next decade or two, I think Carter Hart's going to play really well for Philly. And then Philly just has so much offensive firepower and they're super deep. So I don't really see Montreal like doing what they did to Pittsburgh against Philly here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Carter Hart would have been my X factor, but since you talked about him a little bit there, I'll go with a little bit of a wild card out of Montreal, and I'm going to say Kotkaniemi, a guy that put up a couple of goals in that round robin. A 2018 third overall pick. You're looking for him to take a step, and it looked like he maybe took that step in that play-in. So if he can become a game changer in that series, that would be big for Montreal. I still don't think they win, but definitely something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after a season where he got sent down to the
Yeah.
AHL. So if he can kind of rebound a little bit from that, that's really good for Montreal.
All right, I'm gonna go with the X factor from Philly. I'm gonna go with Ivan Provorov.
I like that.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
wanna. I like those. I like the offensive defensemen. It's fun to watch them just when they're absolutely ripping. So I'll go with him.
Yeah. And I kind of already touched about on my X Factor. It's definitely Carter Hart. I mean, it would be not a huge surprise to me if Philly wins the Stanley Cup for Carter Hart to get the Conn Smythe.
Yeah. I mean, that would make a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sense. So I do have one more name I want to bring up, and that's Shane Gostisbehere, who we talked about in our Philly preview and said some bad things about him, but he has looked as good as he has in a year or so now. When he was in that round robin series, he looked. I wouldn't quite say he was as good as Shane Gostisbehere at his best a couple years ago, but he looked very good. And if you're adding that onto an already very good Philly team, another one where that could be massive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Dangerous if he gets hot at a time like this as
Yeah.
well, for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move into the Western Conference. I guess we already started with Dallas, so whatever. Back to the Western Conference, we're going to go with Vegas and Chicago. Out of that one, again, this is another 112 matchup, and same thing. I really think there are three teams in the West that are good, and Vegas is one of them. Chicago is not. I'm taking Vegas in 6. I think maybe Chicago, just veteran experience helps them steal a game or two, but at the end of the day, I don't see how Vegas loses the series, which is why I bet on them. So that's where I am on that. What do you guys think? Zach, why don't you start?
Yeah, this is one that I think could be one of the shorter series to start off the playoffs. Vegas, just watching them, they absolutely dominate every single game they play, and I don't think it's going to be a lot different in this series. I could see them taking it in 4 or 5, honestly, probably 5.
Yeah, I'm also taking Vegas in 5 here. I think they have the goaltending matchup, the defense matchup, and then forward depth. Like you said, Billy, there is some high end talent and some veteran leadership on Chicago that could steal a game or two. But Vegas, if Colorado is not my West favorite, then Vegas is right close to them or right behind them. So um, I really like what Vegas has brewing. That the game against the Avs the other night was, in my opinion, a preview of the Western Conference Finals.
I'm gonna have to agree with that one. So let's get into X factors here, and I'm going with Max Pacioretty, getting him back. Guy coming off an injury, so and that's one of their high end scoring wingers. So if he can, I mean, if he can play like a high end scoring winger and add that onto a Vegas team that already went 3-0 in the round robin, then you're looking real good up front, and they already look real good on the back
Yeah.
end. So that would be massive. What do you think, Zach? Who's your X factor?
I got a couple here from Vegas. It's got to be Robin Leonard. He's going to carry them in a sense. They don't really need carrying, but he's a great goaltender to have on a championship team. And for Chicago, it's got to be Kane and Taves. If they're going to win the series, they need to lead them to the promised land.
Yeah. Yeah, so my X factor is actually Shea Theodore, going back to the defense. He's kind of developed into their go-to number one defenseman, and for good reason. He had a super solid year, and if he could continue that in the playoffs, then their defense just gets that much scarier.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like a lot of those. Um, I don't. I know that this is a really weird order. I kind of was planning on doing a little bit of combining the order of the games that have happened and then doing the East first, and then I just messed everything up. And it's very out of order. But we're moving now into Washington and the New York Islanders, and I think we're gonna have some disagreements on this one. So, this was the single hardest series for me to pick. I had a real hard time with it. I think the Capitals have been very good in the regular season, but faded a little towards the end and didn't look great in the round robin either. And I also think that the Islanders may be a little bit underrated. I like Barzell a lot. I like Anthony Beauvillier a lot, and I like their coaching and their goalie tandem. So I am taking the New York Islanders in 7, but I don't feel all that confident in it. It's just I'm leaning that way. Marshall, what do you think?
I'm taking the Capitals in 6 here, actually. I just like their roster a lot more than the Islanders. The only thing I would give the Islanders the edge in is coaching, especially since Torts, was with them from 2014 to 2018, led them to the Stanley Cup in 2018. That's a little bit what scares me, but at the same time, the Capitals also know Torts, so
Trucks.
they could kind of. Sorry, I
Because we
don't know
just
why I'm
watched
saying
Columbus
Torts.
play 8 periods might have something to do
Yeah,
with it.
Trotz. But either way, it kind of goes a little bit of two ways here. Definitely, Trotz maybe has the upper hand, but I don't know. I just like Washington's high end a lot more, especially if John Carlson can keep it going. Ovi can keep putting the puck in the net. And I liked what I've seen from Tom Wilson, too.
Yeah, Tom Wilson's been big. Zach, what do you think about this one? Who's your X Factor? Oh, sorry.
So my X
Prediction. We
Factor.
haven't gotten there yet.
All right. Well, I'll start with X Factor. Actually, is
Okay.
Holtby, and for that reason, I think that the goaltending is better in Washington. Varlamov can obviously get hot. We know that as Avs fans how hot Varlamov can get. But over a 7-game series, Holtby's probably going to end up stealing it, and the high end talent on the Capitals is a lot better than what the Islanders have. Yeah, I got to take the Capitals in probably 7 here.
Yeah.
This is a close one. This is a hard one to pick, like you were saying.
Interesting that you went with that. Like, so you would take Holtby over Varlamov. It's funny we haven't had to debate that since
It depends.
2013. It's been a while, but I would give a slight edge in a playoff series. I might take Varley, although that one is close. The loss of Samsonov
that's
to
close.
Washington is big to me. I think I would have taken Samsonov over either, but he is out, and I think that's kind of massive. But my X factor is Barry Trotz. That's he knows Washington. He, like you said, Marshall, and I think that you can win games in the playoffs by out coaching the other guy. And I think that at least the Islanders can steal at least one that way. If they can get the other done with their talent, I think they've got a real shot in the series. Who is your X factor here, Marshall?
I'm going to actually go with Tom Wilson still. He kind of brings that grittiness, that type of play that you need in the playoffs. But as Pasternak has said, he's the best goal scorer in the league. Obviously, Pasternak was kidding and all that, but Tom Wilson can put the puck in the net. He's developed a really nice offensive game. So I think Tom Wilson's going to be big for the Caps.
All right, I like that. Okay, back to the West. I believe this is our final series. So we're talking St. Louis, Vancouver. This is another one. Okay, so I don't like where St. Louis is at. I also really don't like where Vancouver is at. They did not look good in the play-in. They won because Minnesota looked even worse. So I think St. Louis is vulnerable, but I just don't have enough belief in Vancouver. So I am taking St. Louis in 6. This is another one. Marshall, I think you said it and I've said it. We've both said it a couple times. The West, I really strongly believe, is going to come down to Colorado and Vegas in the end. But so I don't think whoever wins the series will win the next one. But I'm taking St. Louis in 6. Marshall, who's your pick?
I'm actually taking Vancouver in 7. I think Markstrom can heat up. Elias Pettersson can definitely heat up. Quinn Hughes has been playing pretty phenomenal. I don't know. I just think there's going to be a big upset, and one of these. I had to pick one of these big upset type of games. Like St. Louis coming off maybe a little bit of a Stanley Cup hangover, even though they finished first in the West. But maybe it's kind of transitioning into the playoffs here. They're vulnerable now in the play-ins or in the first round. So I don't know. I do like Vancouver, but like you said, Billy, neither of these teams are championship teams to me right now. Obviously, St. Louis could make us eat our words, but there's a reason that they finished fourth, coming out of even first. That's both in the West and the East, both of the first seeds that were at the pause ended up being fourth. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
to me, like, I don't know, the way I see the West, there's two teams at the top. There's St. Louis, and then there's everyone else. I think St. Louis is a step above, but also a step behind the top tier. So I think those top tier teams get it done. Zach, what's your pick in this series?
I got to go St. Louis. I think it's a little bit shorter than you guys think. I could see this ending in 5 or 6. Um, while Vancouver does have that offensive ability to put the puck in the net and Quinn Hughes on the back end, they're just not as good on the back end as a fuck.
St.
Why am I
Louis.
blanking? Yeah, that's right, St. Louis. That's St. Louis. They got Petrangelo, they got Folk. They're loaded back there. They haven't really lost anyone since their Cup run. Yeah, I think this could be a short series.
I mean, fair enough. It is a 3 seed taking on a 7, I believe, is what Vancouver was coming in. Getting into X factors here, I'm gonna have to go with Robert Thomas, a guy I love. I think is one of the more underrated players, and I think up and coming players. I think this guy people are sleeping on a little bit. He has a chance to be a star player in this league. Maybe not like an elite player, but very high end center. And I think he might take over the series a little bit and put a couple goals in and help St. Louis get that win. Who's your X factor, Zach?
They're both on the Blues. I got O'Reilly and Tarasenko. Tarasenko looked pretty good and almost put the puck in the net on that last game against Dallas a few times. And O'Reilly's that prototypical center that you want in the playoffs. He wins you faceoffs. He back checks. He does all the small things that you want. And that's why O'Reilly's one of my X factors as well.
So mine is Jacob Markstrom. I already kind of hinted at it. I think if Vancouver's going to want to stand toe-to-toe with St. Louis, it's going to be on the back of Markstrom here. Another guy that before he got hurt this season was looking like he could have a Vezina type of like outing. So if he could kind of like pick that back up, then and Vancouver can like score and Pettersson can kind of pick it up too, then I think Vancouver is going to be a really hard out, and that's why I'm picking them to win. So
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of where we're at. We've got our predictions. If you want to see how we do in our brackets, go ahead and check out our bracket challenge. And on the NHL app, search Off Brand Sports when you're joining your league. Play along with us. And do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we go ahead and get out of this one for today?
So I did want to kind of talk about we all picked Colorado in 6. Obviously, everyone could go and check out our full series preview on that on the Avalanche channel. But a lot of the national media was picking the Avs in like 4 or 5. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen anyone have that series go over 5. So I think it's a little bit interesting, us being Avs fans and biased Avs fans, that national media was a little bit higher on them
We're
than
Avs
us.
fans,
So
but we're also scared. So that's where we're at, I think.
yeah.
The other thing on that series, a little bit interesting. Altitude came out today and said, this is for Colorado viewers, basically, but you can watch it now. Altitude will be waiving the blackouts, so we can watch the NBC Sports streams or, channel live in Colorado. And, I mean, to anyone outside of Colorado, you don't really know exactly how this has been going down, but I mean, this is a big dick move by Altitude. This is saying, all right, Comcast, so we are now telling everybody that we want them to watch hockey. Your move, because now it's all on Comcast.
Yep, exactly. I love it. Don't have to source to legal means now.
Which makes it nice. I'm thrilled with that. All right. Thank you to all our viewers watching. It looks like we still got a couple left in the live stream, so go ahead and hit that like button while you're here. We're changing this up to once a week now. We've bumped up our Avs pod and dropped down our sports pod. The Avs one was doing better, and we like recording it a little bit more, to be honest. We like talking Avs. So if you are an Avs fan, then that's great for you. Go ahead and check that out. If you're just a fan of the sports pod, sorry, but you will still have us once a week. We'll try to do it live. Some of them will probably be recorded normally, but we're changing some things up, and I think it'll be for the better. But that's all we've got for you today. Check us out wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's iTunes, Google Play, watching us here on YouTube, and we'll see you in our next episode.